Good evening, dear students. I've seen this comment so many times on YouTube, and many students have asked me, how do we write an essay? So this is a very difficult question to answer, but I did tell you that this is how you write it, and this is how you write an introduction, this is how you write your body, this is how you write your conclusion. However, it differs in terms of how you would write it in an assignment, for example, and how you would write it under exam conditions. And you should check the comment that I made on the student that asked about it. I think on the tutorial, either tutorial 7 or 8 video, I cannot recall. I gave them the basic structure and what to include in each part: introduction, body, and conclusion. But is it easy to teach students that this is how you can write it? It's not that easy. It can be done, but the student has to write the essay to be able to know how to write an essay. It's sort of like me telling you that it's like this is how you should drive a car. But you need a car. You need to drive it to see that you can drive it. I can't just tell you that this is how you drive it and then you get into the car and then you drive it and then so it's not so easy. But what is important is that your essay needs to respond to the question. So what I have here is an essay that was written by a student, one of you. I just took one from the sample that I marked. So if it's yours, maybe then you can start reflecting on it using the feedback that I also provided. But still, even if it's not yours, maybe you can gain something. But the question said, what accounts for differences in educational achievements? It's very important to understand the question, highlight it, underline it in the exam, so that you really write things that answer the question and not just regurgitating all the information that you know on that particular subject. Mm. So will this allow me to move? Yes. So let's look at the student's introduction. So it's copied exactly as it is from the student. So all the errors that you might see here are the errors that were made by the student. The South African education system at the basic level of schooling shows big differences in how students perform. So not sure if I've said this, I forget. But yeah, I'm a forgetful person. So, what accounts for the differences in educational achievements and what are you going to use to explain that? Bowles and Gintis, as well as the organization of schools. So, sociologists, these have a theory that explain why other students do better than others. Okay, then I'm seeing here that, okay, we have something that tells us about differences. Then maybe I'm impressed. Let's continue. They believe that education is not only about individual ability, but it's also influenced by those factors. Okay, then maybe it means I'm expecting to see these factors in the body of the essay. The way schools are organized helps maintain the ruling class preparing on their backgrounds. Then I'm starting to close one eye here because I'm not getting where the differences in educational achievements are. But not too bad, maybe it's some background, still an introduction. This essay looks at how these factors, social class and inequality, that's not how we write inequality, cultural capital, the hidden curriculum, and affect education. Now, we're looking at factors that affect education. I'm starting to be worried and scratching my head now. Will these factors help in explaining the differences in educational achievements? If they won't help, then why are they in this introduction? So Bowles and Gintis, no, you need, of course, this was an assignment, so you need a citation here. Bowles and Gintis, 1976. You did not have a conversation with Bowles and Gintis. You read their work, so you need to cite them. This is academic writing. Of course, you wouldn't have to cite in the test, as I said. So they argue that the education systems maintain social inequality by benefiting the dominant class. So this is the topic sentence, by benefiting the dominant class. So it means everything that's in this paragraph, I expect it to be on how education systems do maintain those inequalities by benefiting the dominant class. And what is most important is that this should help you in uncovering these differences in educational achievements. Now let's see. In South Africa, this is clear in the difference between rich and poor schools, blah, blah, blah. Okay, how are they different? Wealthy schools, better facilities, good. More teaching materials, good. Qualified teachers, while poor schools lack resources and so forth. Okay, good. This creates unequal education. Cool. Leading to different roles in the workplace. Okay, not really, but fine, not bad. Those who received poor education receive lower paying jobs, and those who receive better education receive better paying jobs. Now, here's the thing. How do we see better education? I don't understand what the student here regards as better education. Are we saying the education from rich schools is better education? So richness determines the betterness or the worstness of education. I'm not so convinced here. The problem started during apartheid. Okay, you uncovering this now, where white schools were better funded, blah, blah, blah. So this is not a bad paragraph at all. Of course, here you would have to put in the in-text citation and then the full stop after, and there should be a space between the surname and between the comma and the year, right? So Bowles and Gintis, we need a citation, argue that cultural capital, essential skills play a role in determining success. So now, okay, they play a role in determining success. Let's see these things now in this paragraph. Students from wealthier families, white families, okay, tutoring, blah, blah, blah. I'm not really getting now the relationship between wealthy and white. You've got to uncover that. I don't know what makes white people wealthy. You might have mentioned it, but private tutoring, extracurricular activities, books, technology, which improves their academic performance. Okay, cool. In contrast, students from poor families, especially in rural areas, lack access. Okay, cool. But I want to see cultural capital, essential skills, knowledge, and blah, blah, blah. They may struggle without books, private tutors, making it more difficult for them to excel. As a result, may track a group students. Okay, those from wealthier families who have more knowledge and exposure are seen as better prepared. Okay. Meanwhile, students from low income directed towards lower paying jobs that align the system, wealthier equipped for success. Okay, this is not a bad paragraph. This is not a bad paragraph. But I'm slightly concerned with how all of this, how all of this complements the topic sentence. Citation there, the concept of the hidden curriculum, you tell me. Right, now I want to see hidden curriculum, differences in educational achievements. Students follow rules, blah, 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 rhubarb and apple pie, blah, 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 rhubarb and apple pie. But I'm not... This is really confusing. Students learn to be on time, follow rules, wear uniform, and compete with other peers. Wealthy schools encourage skills like, critical thinking, blah, blah, blah. No, there's no research here. It's just a claim, and this claim is really concerning. Because now it's like we are saying It's like you telling me that Bowles and Gintis actually say that the hidden curriculum is mostly prevalent in poor schools. That's not what they say. It affects all schools. Right. So when you say this is encouraged by wealthy schools, no, this is really concerning. Because Bowles and Gintis are Marxists, and their conception about education is that all education doesn't really encourage critical thinking and creativity and so forth. So this shows that there's no meaningful understanding of Bowles and Gintis. This should be capitalized. Poor schools focus on that. No, 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 no. This claim is very problematic. The difference in what is taught. No, no, no. The student here was trying so hard to make it, But no, no, no. I'm saying no here. This is not a good paragraph. It's not convincing at all. Economic challenges greatly impact that one. Economic challenges. I'm expecting to see it here. But I'm most likely to sense repetition because there are many things that you've said before that there are economic challenges. Difficulty focusing on their studies, getting you've said this in the other paragraph. Some must drop out early to help their families. Okay, this makes some good sense. Situation closely tied to the economic. Okay, Bowles and Gintis argue that these issues, blah, blah, blah. Moreover, the effects of poverty beyond individual students, entire communities. This should be an S. We need to stop writing in American English, creating cycles of disadvantage. Now, the issue here was that this is an assignment here. There's no citation. So all these things here look like claims. No evidence, no reasoning, without excess students to solve these problems. Okay, now I don't understand why this is here, but let's see. Maybe these kinds of action plans can be towards your conclusion. We includes me. I don't need better educational resources. So you need to be careful how you use this, right? And support as well as broader changes by understanding how we can. So here, as much as I don't know how the student wrote, but the structure resembles how AI writes. Yes. And now the student is concluding. Are there enough points? But let's see, what are we concluding? Bowles and Gintis self-explain why so unequal. Things like class, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what should a conclusion do? Yes, it should summarize. Action plan, maybe I'd want you to include here, maybe even if it's just 2 lines or 1. But also, in your conclusion, it's really, I always see it as important to tell us that, to comment on the essay's success in uncovering these kinds of inequalities. So Bowles and Gintis' ideas help explain why education in South Africa is so unequal. Differences in educational achievements, not just education being unequal. Things like, things is not really a good word, but okay, for a first year, fine. Social class, but I prefer aspects or issues. Access to important skills and resources. The hidden lessons taught in schools. This wasn't so convincing though. And economic conditions, all, to make the education fairer, South Africa needs to ensure that all students, no matter where they come from, get the resources, blah, blah, blah. They need to succeed. Only then education can help create a better future for everyone. Okay, okay, I like that you include everyone because I was going to ask now, what really is a better future? So you use Bals and Ginter, so it's like everything that Bals and Ginter say, you're not evaluating it, you're saying it's right. Cool. But here also very little focus on how schools are actually organized. But is this a bad essay? No, not at all. I think maybe I gave a student a better mark. Cannot recall the mark that I gave them, and I don't have the rubric. So this is just the feedback that I have. I didn't take the student's references, but the student didn't reference that much. But guys, I don't know how I can help, but the introduction needs to have that background statement, and then you go to your thesis statement under exam conditions. You don't want to waste time writing blocks and blocks of intro and blocks of conclusion, because you get more marks in the body because you want to see the content. Do you show meaningful understanding of the content that that we have taught you? So then in your body, you do all that. Each paragraph needs to have a topic sentence, and then you build up on that, and then you use the claim evidence reasoning model that I always talk about, right? Because now, and also give many examples, contextualize them to South Africa. Okay, and that shows that you have deep understanding of what you are doing. Conclusion, you sum up, you summarize, and then you can give an action plan. Then you comment on the essay's success in explaining whatever, or discussing or describing whatever that you were asked to describe. So it has to perfectly complement your introduction, right? So yeah, and from me, bye bye.